Hi superstars! Okay, so this is your short video on what you need to know for the chapter on humour. So you'll feel free to pause it at any point and rewind it, but listen very, very carefully to my instructions because you will need to know all of this for your exams. Firstly then, we have puns. As you can see, I'm circling there. Now this is where you have more than one possible meaning of a single word. So the example I've got here in front of you is doctors were found stoned outside of work. Now obviously there are two meanings to this. One, that the doctors were found dead outside their workplace from having stones thrown at them. And then the second meaning we have here is that the doctors were found high outside the workplace from being intoxicated through a form of drug. So remember, the important thing here is a pun is not a play on words. All humour is a play on words. So you have to be specific in the definitions of it. So it's more than one possible meaning of a single word. Now, ambiguity, this is very, very similar to a pun in the sense that you've got more than one possible meaning, but in this case, it's of a sentence, not a single word. So we have an example here, robber jailed for shooting dead witness. Now there are two meanings for this. The first one, as you can see here, that a robber was jailed because he shot and killed the witness. And meaning two is a robber was jailed because he shot a witness who was already dead, as you can see here. Now this is my all-time favourite type of humour, irony. Now this is when the speaker or the individual in question within the joke contradicts him or herself. And so basically they do the opposite from what has just been said. So in the example I have here, always avoid assonance. Why is that ironic? Well, it's ironic because what I'm doing is I'm saying you must avoid assonance, and where in fact I've repeated the ah sound. So I've actually contradicted what I've said. And you can see the sort of description below there. Now this is a very cool one, a parody. Now this is very cool because it's found quite a lot in movies and even advertisements where a particular style of a particular thing or a writer or even a genre as it has here is exaggerated and sort of made funny. So for example here you've got the typical McDonald's advert. The icon is very, very well known. Then what they've done here is they've turned it sideways and gone, ew! So what they're doing is trying to make it funny by saying McDonald's, though claiming to be very, very tasty, isn't very nice at all. But instead of just writing that, they've actually used the M sideways, just to make it more amusing for the reader. Now this one is very, very common in newspapers, satire. You see it, Zapiro, the cartoonist, is also very well known for this. Now this is when an important issue or person, so it's very important you get the two here, when an issue or person is insulted and mocked in order to bring attention to a serious issue. So if you look in the example here, President Zuma here, just circling him there, it says, poverty, it gives me sleepless nights. The solution will cost billions. And then if you look in the second slide here, but it's worth it. And then the captain here is saying, sleep well, sir. Now this is quite a big explanation, so you're welcome to pause this and read through below what I've written here. But the important thing is that they are mocking Zuma. So they're mocking the shower cap, which you can look at in more detail later, and the fact that he's saying that it's such a terrible thing, it's going to cost me so much money. But again, he's sleeping very, very soundly in the second image. So it's actually, as well as mocking him and making him sound very silly and very idiotic, what the cartoonist is cleverly doing is bringing attention to that serious issue, which I mentioned at the top, underlining now, by saying that Zuma should not be trusted with money and taxes, and he should not be in the position of power that he is. So have a look here, pause it now, and have a look at the information below. And lastly, we have stereotypes. Now, you've got to be very careful with stereotypes because there is always a very fine line between that and racism. So you need to be very, very careful here. Now, a stereotype, as it says there, is a widely held but fixed and oversimplified idea of a particular type of person or thing. So they can include gender, race, religion, and many others. Now, the example I've picked here, as you can see that I've just written an arrow here, come to England, they said. It's summer, they said. Now, you could also potentially say this is a little bit ironic, because coming to England is a very bad idea in summer, because instead of being stereotypically hot and sunny and warm like you expect in summer, it is in fact very cold, and you can see they've got the umbrellas there. There's lots of rain and wet and drizzle, and if you look at what they're not wearing shorts and t-shirts, they're wearing coats, and they're not, although they're laughing, it doesn't look like a terribly pleasant scenario. So just be very aware that a stereotype is very oversimplified. So the stereotype of England is that it has terrible weather. So just be very careful how you explain the stereotype when you do your own analyses. All right, well done.